1800s. Gives you an idea of what it would have been like sitting on a ship looking out to the shore. You've got this one here. This is an artist's depiction of the Old Dock. You can see how many buildings grow up around the Old Dock. You've also got the Customs House. Now, this dock actually closes 111 years to the day. And in its place, the Customs House building gets built. So where the Hilton is now, where we've just walked, the entire span of the Old Dock area, that's how big this building was. At the time, it was one of the biggest in the world. Huge neoclassical building that dominated our skyline. And unfortunately, we lose this in the 1941 Blitz. In the 1950s, it gets demolished, pushed into the whole of the Old Dock. It gets paved over, you get Shabazz Park and the Sears buildings. Has anybody seen the Time Team episode? Liverpool's Lost Dock? No. It's on YouTube. If you're interested in sort of Time Team and stuff, it's really good to watch. But they called it Liverpool's Lost Dock, and I got beef with that. This image proves, well, I was touching on the backside there. This image proves that we always knew it was there. In the 70s, they did numerous archaeological digs all around Liverpool. This is the site of Liverpool Castle. They didn't have enough funding to actually go down to the whole site, so they kind of dug down, saw the wall was still there, and then they just covered it up. And then fast forward a few more years, we've got funding! Here we are at the dig. It's about 3 years into the dig at this point. And then modern day, this is what we've got now, Liverpool 1. So what we're going to do now is we're going to do our next part of our visitor centre. So follow me. It'll give you the impression of what it was like being on a ship looking out at the Old Dock wall. So when I was talking about the masonry work at the Old Dock and Salthouse Dock, can we see the difference? Yeah. Very strange. But just a bit of housekeeping as well. You can take as many photos as you want. Flash photography is absolutely fine. It's a 300-year-old wall. There's elements of horsehair in there. That's always one thing that you find out online. And then the actual mortar itself is flexible. So if the ship impacts the wall, it's not going to instantly crumble. It's got a bit of give. It's also a mortar that sets slowly and it sets underwater as well. So the wall got repaired numerous times throughout its life. And the way they would do that is they get a little boy and they tie a rope around his waist, dangle him down into the dock with a brick and a bit of mortar, repair it. We had a little boy on the tour last week, must have been about 6, and I used him as an example. Oh, no. He was like, oh, and I was like, no, I won't dangle you over, it's okay. I had to like reassure him. So this mortar recipe, Steers actually buys this from a gentleman called William Bibby. This is not Bibby of the ship and line, is Bibby. I can't find any evidence to back that up. Obviously, go and have a little look if you want. I've heard some people have said it to me, like, oh, it's the ship and line is Bibby. And it's a very nice kind of thought to be like, the origin story started in this room, but I can't find anything to back that up. If you do, please email me at the Maritime Museum. That'd be great. So that is the mortar. That was the first fail-safe. The next fail-safe is a massive scaffolding that went the entire length of the wall. If you have a look at the bedrock here, you can see carved out kind of squares. Just where the wall sort of ends at the very bottom there, you can see like little squares. There's a really good one actually underneath the gantry here. There's that carving. There's also a hole in the wall there with a little bit of wood jutting out. That is where an elm beam will come through the wall, and the wooden scaffolding was sit in those sort of carved out squares in the bedrock. The idea of that was the ship would impact the sort of scaffolding before it hit the wall. Kind of like when you have a rubber ring on a canal or on your dock. So that was that. They chose elm to do it as well, so it's a low rock wood. So it's really, the Manchester dock gates are made out of elm. So that tends to be like the wood that they use. Now the next fail safe is the coping stones. If you have a look at the porthole just up there, that's a John Lewis when you're looking out, looking down that porthole. That's what you're supposed to be seeing. Now that big stone, that is a yellow sandstone. That was also quarried locally about a 20-minute walk up the hill from here. Has anybody been to Mount Zion? Has anyone been to the Anglican Cathedral?
Yeah.
You've all been to Mount Zion.
Oh, right.
So, the Anglican Cathedral is actually the site of a quarry. So if you're in the gardens like St James's Place and you feel really like deep in the air, it's because it was. Yeah. So that's where that stone comes from. Now, like I said before, Sears uses a lot of his budget, and he can't afford to use yellow sandstone to go all around his quayside. He can't. He uses that because Liverpool's a really rainy city, and when the rain seeps down into your brickwork, it will seep and then it'll freeze and then it'll expand and then it'll crack and then it'll be an absolute nightmare. So the big coping stones, which is like a large like surface area, is supposed to kind of help with that. So he caps the yellow sandstones, but he also uses some red sandstone. You see that one over in the corner by the projector? Have a guess where that one comes from? Liverpool Castle. So Thomas Sears, being the crafty man that he is, says it's a massive crumbling castle and ruins at the top of the hill. Liverpool was seized numerous times, and by this point it's just ruins with people living in it, and it was just basically a... So Sears thinks, right, let's go and take a few of those bricks, no one's going to miss them, and we'll cap our entire quayside with those bricks. So the workers are like, right, let's go and do it. Now I think there may have been some crossed wires between Thomas Sears and his workers, because in the space of a day, our castle disappears. There's actually a report in the town hall you can go and see. This policeman had a beat where he would go up and kind of check the area and sort of clear anybody out that was living in the castle ruins. And this report says, went for lunch, came back, castle gone. So they've actually found castle bricks in the local area, so around Bootle and the Dingle. They've actually found castle bricks in the foundations of the homes there. So I was saying, if you see a red sandstone brick, maybe go and have a check. Could be a very nice payoff for you, 30 to 40,000 pounds, who knows? So what you got to think about as well, those bricks, if you look at them, they are big bricks, right? And they're trying to do this quite sort of conspicuously, kind of run up the hill and bringing them down. So if you have a look down there, you can see an archway. So those bricks were put there by Thomas Sears workers. But that archway is actually carved into the bedrock. So when the archaeologists were doing the dig and they find this archway, it stops the dig for 2 weeks. Everybody is just like, the minds are just like, oh, blown. Those markings on the archway are not made with modern tools. They're actually made with 13th century tools. That's a sally port to Liverpool Castle. A secret entrance to Liverpool Castle. Isn't that unreal? I do not know how those archaeologists cope, because if I found a secret passageway, you best believe, and I'm knocking them walls down and I'm going in, I need to see what's up there. That's probably why I'm a tour guide. So, what the archaeologists did was they took the top 4 rows of bricks away, and the rest of them, they can't really remove them as conservation purposes, because we can't put them back together, because we haven't got the mortar. So what they did was they led a camera down there. So you know when I was saying about the little black line, it literally leads 200 foot to the place where the Victorian monument is. At the end of that 200 foot, there's a big concrete hill that goes right through the Sally Port. Because when they were building the court, they didn't realise they were going straight through a Sally Port. So what we're looking at right now is the only known entrance to Liverpool Castle that still exists today. just mind blowing. Unreal. Unreal. So you can kind of understand now why they chose this particular chamber to sort of show you guys.
Yeah.
There's also a little secret in there as to why the dock closed. So you can see that little pipe that's sticking at the bottom covered in black plastic. That's a sluice gate. So if we go with, hopefully no one's light sensitive because I did not talk to you about that, but we've got a bit of a technical issue with one of our lights. Where the flickering light is there, you've got a castle brick with a herringbone etch mark there, so you can have a little look there. Next to that you can kind of see like almost like a cross. That would have gone right up to the top, and a guy would go down with a wheelbarrow, and people would throw their muck in, and then they'd throw their muck into the dock. So there's numerous reports of ships being stuck in the dock and having to be pulled out. There's also massive outbreaks of cholera. So that is basically the reason why the dock closes. It's just due to the amount of illness. So they drain the dock, they push all the food concerns in, and then they just backfill it. And then in its place, they build the customs house. Fast forward to 41, it gets bombed. Fast forward to the 50s, it gets demolished, pushed into the old dock, and then paved over. This is what I like to talk about when people criticise Thomas Steele's play. What we need to realise is we are looking at a 300-year-old wall right now that has survived it being filled in, it survived the customs house being built upon it, it survived the Blitz, it survived the customs house being pushed in on it, and then it actually survived the excavation as well. When it was excavated, it was only pointed in one place. You can see just above the archway, you can see where that little bit of metal is there, which is unbelievable when you think about it. So as much as we want to criticise Thomas Steele for using bricks, we are looking at an engineering marvel right now. It's unreal. So let's fast forward to 2000, and we've got the start of the excavation. I like to give this poor gentleman a backstory. So this is a fabrication disclaimer. So we've got Barry. Barry's a workie, and he's been hired to come and dig out the old dock. So Barry's going to work with his lunchbox, you know, old dock, extra, I just want to come and, you know, do a bit of work and go home and go have a pint with my mates. So Barry starts digging. He's digging with his friends, and Barry's digging down. He gets to one point. And when Barry hits this one point, a load of black gelatinous goo comes out of the air, covering him and all his friends as well. Everybody panics because I don't know if anyone's from the local area. It can be quite common to find incendiary bombs that haven't gone off on building sites. My grandfather actually found them in Stanley Park when he was a gardener, just digging down, hit like a bit of metal and uncovered it and was like, oh my Christ, it's a glitter bomb. It's like, oh no. So you had the bomb squad called, the dig stops, everyone's panicking, you've got TV crews, it's just chaos, absolute chaos. When they did the test, it turns out it was fine. It was just 300-year-old poo. I'm saying it's fine, probably poor Barry probably isn't thinking it's fine. Like, oh, it's on me, I don't know. So, obviously we all think that's disgusting, we're like, oh, that's minging, but archaeologists, oh, they love it when they find poo, they think it's the best thing in the world, because they can learn so much from what people have eaten, and everything that we found in the dock was basically sealed in this like horrible black jelly. You've also got to say thank you to some of the students that came down. I always think about these poor students from like Liverpool University and some other colleges who are doing like archaeology, and they get to come and do a post and do on the dig. So I can imagine these kids coming down here and like, you know, Indiana Jones, like ready to go with all the gear. And then when they turned up, they were handed a hazmat suit and a toothbrush. And every single brick that you see has been cleaned by those students. So I always want to give a big round of applause to those students. Students are not lazy at all. But yeah, they found 45,000 objects, one of which isn't really an object, but it's a horse skeleton. They found a horse skeleton completely intact. That is now owned by Liverpool University, and they actually study it in the vet college and see how horse skeletons have progressed over time. Isn't that interesting? So we had a replica of it in our tour guide office. I didn't realise when I became a tour guide, I was looking through the boxes, opened this box and there's a horse head. And I was thinking, oh my god, is someone sending me a message? It was like the Godfather. I'm like, oh my gosh, whose job am I taking? Oh no! You can also learn so much about the people that were coming into our port, just literally from the objects. They found coins, so many coins from all over the world, different years, different areas. It kind of shows how much of an international port this was. We've got one of the oldest Chinese settlements in Europe, and they actually were around the dock. The Chinese settlement kind of came as soon as cholera outbreak. They were so smart. They were like, right, let's move up the hill. Let's get away from the cholera cesspool of the Old Dock. Let's get up towards Berry Street. And that community is still there today, which is just unbelievable. And again, if we didn't have this dock, we probably wouldn't have that settlement here. They also found hundreds of bowling balls. They were used to play bowling on the side of the quayside. Probably weren't very good because the amount that they found absolutely hundreds of bowling balls. They also found loads of pipes. Again, another kind of tell about international port. Loads of American pipes, the ones that don't have a standard, the American ones, the ones that do have a standard English. Got a few examples on the staircase going up there. Absolutely loads of objects. I always like to talk about this poor sailor because they found a full wage packet in a little like coin purse. And one thing to think about is most ports, you're there for 2 weeks. Here, day and a half. So you, this poor lad, you can imagine, can't you, just being like, I need to get off the ship, I need to go and have a bevy, and he's probably rushing trying to get off the ship and falls and all his money goes in the dock. So I like to point out the dock life sign over there. So you can see all of the red, that is the pubs. This is basically catering to sailors' needs. So what grows up around our dock is pretty much an 18th century base. It's where everyone's coming and having a party. It's a party town. Sailor town is what it was called. All the red pubs, most of them were called Hope and Anchor. So if you said to your mate, I'm meeting Hope and Anchor, you're probably going to be 8 pints in by the time you found each other. So if you're a sailor, you want to go off, you want to have a drink, you want to have some hot food. There's also a few ladies' names on there. But this is a family tour, so we'll say this is where you go and get the pub. So you think about these poor lads, probably had a bevy, loads of lovely food in their belly, getting back on the ship with a headache and probably a few other things you can only imagine. So I'm going to let you now have a little mooch around, have a little look. You know, it's very rare that you get to spend time in a live archaeological site, unless you make it 3 times a day. I might as well just live in that little cupboard upstairs. So this, before this was made, this was the maze. The ship roundabout. Oh yes, that's where the entrance was. They used to have that ship roundabout here, and the basin was there. That's basically the cannon dock. And that's like south dock. It's unusual.
She did. I know.